It's a deal touted by the US president as the dawn of a new Middle East. But hours after Israel signed historic diplomatic pacts with Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, Palestinian militants and Israeli forces were exchanging fire. The US brokered agreement normalises Israel's relations with Arab states but doesn't address its decades-long conflict with the Palestinians. North America correspondent David Lipson reports.
A diplomatic triumph, a step toward peace in the Middle East, and a political coup for the US president. UAE and Bahrain are just the third and fourth Arab states to recognise Israel since its founding in 1948. They've joined Egypt and Jordan in establishing diplomatic relations and forging closer cooperation on trade and security.
Long after the pandemic is gone, the peace we make today will endure.
We can see before us a golden opportunity for peace, security, and prosperity for our region.
It comes after decades of failed summits and fruitless discussion about a two-state solution. Where Clinton, Bush and Obama failed, this most unconventional president has delivered a breakthrough by sidelining the Palestinian people entirely.
This is peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand.
The Palestinian response came in the form of rockets. 2 Israelis were wounded amid a scene of shattered shop fronts and broken glass. Earlier in Gaza City, protesters burned images of the leaders who brokered the deal. They say the pact is a betrayal of their cause for a Palestinian state.
It's a day of rage for the Palestinian people and the Islamic and Arab world.
It's not the deal of the century the president promised, but it is a very good start. The nations involved were already on good terms. This cements ties and sets up a united front against a common enemy, Iran. The president insists that will help bring the Ayatollahs to the table.
But I think right after our election, the American election, if we win, we'll have a deal with Iran.
There's no sign of that yet. David Lipson, ABC News, Washington.
Our Middle East correspondent Eric Torchek joins me from Jerusalem now. Eric, we just saw footage in David's story of the reaction by Palestinians to this deal. What have you observed there?
Well, actually, Tamara, the main reaction is indifference and despondency. Very few Palestinians answered a call to protest yesterday in the West Bank or in Gaza. The firing of those 2 rockets by Hamas is a largely symbolic statement that, Palestinians do not accept what's happening, even though there's not much they can do about it. The agreement barely mentions the Palestinians at all. It doesn't stipulate a Palestinian state. And it's very clear that the diplomatic efforts of the Palestinian leadership over the last 2 decades, it would seem, have largely failed. So Palestinians say that Israel can make as many deals as it likes, as many countries can move their embassies here to Jerusalem as they like, but it doesn't change the fact that the Palestinians are still here. They're still under occupation, the world's longest-running military occupation in the West Bank. Nothing has changed in their situation. And that still needs to be resolved. And they know, though, that they need new leaders and a new approach, and they need that quickly because the region's moving on without them.
Eric Torchek, thank you.